Hey, what's going on? This is Tyler with Black Diamond Softball and Fitness, and we got a brand new episode of the Foul Pole to Foul Pole Daily Show for you. This episode is brought to you by Loud Cup. Elevates your fan game with Loud Cup. Our revolutionary design transforms your cheers into sippable delight. Whether you're rallying your team or celebrating a win, Loud Cup enhances the thrill. With an array of vibrant colors to match your favorite teams, you can make every game a home game. Don't miss out. Visit loudcup.com and see why the Loud Cup is a sports fan's best friend. All right. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. We got a little bit different episode. I want to talk about the relationship between our parents and our athletes on the immediate ride home. Now, there's a lot of times where we can talk to our athletes and we can boost their confidence. And there's a lot of times where we can talk to our athletes and we can really destroy the confidence that they had. So what I want to get into is that ride home, that immediate conversation that we have where it's just us. It might be mom and dad together. It could be just mom. It could be just dad. Just that when we get in the car and we're headed home and it's all said and done and we're making that trip home. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about as far as confidence destroyers. And then there's a couple of things I want to talk about that kind of help them build their confidence, in so many words. So we definitely, as parents, we overemphasize the outcomes, whether we win or lose, because those are kind of like bookends. The beginning of the book is getting there. We got all this confidence. Hey, we're going to do this. We've played this team before, or we've never played them. There's always like this initial sort of feeling we get from it. And then, of course, we play the game, and then whatever happens. And then there's that last bookend of the game is over, and we're sort of assessing what happened, what went right, what went wrong. Did we win? Did we lose? Did the umpires screw us out of something? Did they have an illegal player? Did they bring in a guest pitcher? Just like all this stuff that is kind of running through our mind. Are we making excuses or whatever? I mean, it's always, we just overemphasize whatever happened. We place too much importance solely on winning and losing that game. If we constantly focus on the outcomes rather than, say, the effort we put in or the improvement that we made, we're helping build that anxiety. We are creating that fear of failure. No matter how good they play, whether they win or lose, if we don't put an emphasis on that, they're going to grow up, and it doesn't matter how well they play. If they lose, and it may be completely out of their control, but if they lose, it doesn't matter how well they play. So let's not overemphasize too much on the outcome, the overall, outcome of the game. Okay. And with that, we can talk about sort of critical feedback. While constructive criticism is essential for improvement, I mean, we got to get better. That's the whole reason that we do things, right? We want to get better at what we're doing. So if we're overly critical on every little detail, it makes us sort of work like a robot. So if we give them that harsh feedback like right away, we could take them from sort of like a sponge where they're accepting the criticism. They are, breaking down, maybe some footwork issues or whatever. Just put any example in there where they're high on stuff. Like, hey, yeah, we lost, but I did this, this, and this, and I felt pretty good about that. If we start breaking down every little thing, it can really be demoralizing to them after the fact. So like negative remarks about mistakes that were made during the game, it can really damage their self-esteem because if they lost it's already kind of, teetering right there. I mean, we've got them in a very precarious situation here of do they want to continue playing the game, especially at a young age. I mean, when we're talking like 8s and 10s, man, a loss is just completely detrimental. And another thing that we do as parents often that we don't even realize, that we don't think it's a big deal, is we start comparing others to our daughter or our daughter to others. And like it could be, teammates, or it could be, a team that you played against. Like, why didn't you do it like this? Did you see how good she did this? Why is she faster? Why was she able to do this or do that? And you can't do that. So parents, we got to realize that our players have their own strengths and weaknesses. And when we start comparing someone's strength to our daughter's weakness, man, it just crushes them. And there's really no reason to. And I'll get this. Well, the kids are soft these days, or whatever. It's not that they're soft. It's just that we should do a better job at not tearing down their self-esteem or their confidence, or we should sort of spin that a little bit and help them build self-confidence. Help them with their mental toughness along the way. So if we constantly compare them to Susie down the street, then it's going to lead to feelings of inadequacy. It really does. It makes them, what's the point of me playing? It's fun to play when it's all light and fluffy, but if I lose, my dad's going to be mad at me. If I make an error, my dad's mad at me. These kids are already mad that they lost. They're already upset that they made an error. They don't want to strike out. So if you make that strikeout even worse, they're just not going to play. And at the end of the day, at this age, man, what I'm talking about is like the younger age. I'm not talking about juniors and seniors in high school, that it's critical at this time. We got to perform in moments to help them chase their dream. But by that time, they should have already built this confidence. You as a parent should have already worked through all of this that we're talking about today to help them get to that point. But we're talking 8s, 10s, and 12s right now, where it's young, and that confidence is critical, okay? And if we ignore the effort and the progress that they've made, it's almost like we're not acknowledging their improvements, if you will. And that could make them kind of turn away. It's like, well, no matter what I do, I'm not going to make mom or dad happy. No matter what I do, it's just not good enough. And that really kills a kid's confidence. I mean, if you go get into the truck and it's on the way home and hey, well, you struck out 3 times again this week, and you start making these little snide comments, or you start like, you don't try to find any improvement anywhere for them to build on, man, you make them feel almost undervalued as a teammate, undervalued as a person, undervalued as a kid. So we just got to try not to destroy. You don't have to do anything in particular. It's just be mindful of what you say and where they're at in that critical moment. They're already beat up. They're already down on themselves. Okay. There are some things that you can do that can maybe more benefit the relationship between you and her and help with their confidence. And there's a couple different strategies that you can implement here. Go ahead and emphasize on what you can tell they've learned, or emphasize on the effort that they've put forward. Because focusing on the effort rather than the score, it takes out some of the stuff they have no control over, especially in a team sport. I mean, anything can happen. Any call can be made. I tell the girls that I hit with all the time that, we put on these temporary fences. You could hit a ball that goes over that fence, and it's a home run. But if she catches it and brings it back into the field of play, you're out. It doesn't change the fact that the ball that you hit went over that fence. If she wasn't there, it's a home run. But because she was there doing her job, playing her position, there was an out. It doesn't change the fact that you crushed it, right? She made a play, you made a play. That's it. So if we can acknowledge their hard work and, maybe their dedication they've been putting in lately, just any positive aspect from that player's performance, whatever it is. Hey, you were a good teammate. I saw you clean up trash out of the dugout. Hey, when little Susie was down, you went over there and talked to her. That was a good pitcher you faced. You battled hard. We may not have gotten the outcome we wanted, but man, you've made strides on facing some of these better pitchers, or you haven't seen that fast of pitching lately. There's a lot of different things that you can sort of key on that will help her focus on, instead of you guys lost. It doesn't matter how good you played, you still lost. Like, that kills me. I hate hearing that. All right. And on top of that, we can encourage resilience. We can help our player understand that setbacks and losses are a part of the game. They're sort of out of our control. Some of them, most of them, and if we encourage resilience and help them sort of foster a growth mindset by discussing like how we can learn from our challenges and how we can move positively, even when it's the worst thing, even if it's the worst loss, it's a buzzer beater, it's a walk-off win, it's a strikeout in a big moment, something like that. If we can find something particular, give them real examples of the game where things happen, the way maybe they wanted to. It really helps them understand that there's going to be, setbacks. There's going to be failure. Heck, we play a game that's all about failure. I've started working with girls that on the defensive side of the ball, and we're starting the lesson off with a scramble drill. Like, hey, don't field this cleanly. I want you to get your glove to it, but let it hit the ground. I want you to scramble. Because how many times during a game, a ball will get hit right to us, it'll be a routine play or something like that. It takes a bad hop, it takes a bad spin, it hits us weird in the glove, something like that, and we have to scramble to make the play. So we start from there, like, hey, this drill is for you to fail at picking it clean and making the throw. I want you to fail at that. I want the ball to stay on the ground, but I want you to scramble to make that play. So the rest of that lesson, they don't care anymore if they don't come up with it clean, because it puts them right back into that scramble drill. So help them, use that drill, coaches. Help them with that, build that resilience, okay? And give them positive feedback. Offer some constructive feedback, but in a supportive manner. It's like 8s and 10s, whatever the game is supposed to be fun. 12, we get a little bit more competitive, I guess. But give them some of that supportive feedback. Talk about, hey, maybe on that rise ball, we need to jump on a little bit earlier. We were late on this week. Let's focus on, when we're getting our reps in, let's focus on this or this. Let's say, hey, I think maybe let's both search and find some drills that help with, X, Y, and Z. If we emphasize the mistakes and it's only negative, then we take away from the potential growth that's there. Okay. So if we look at the mistakes that we made and we can build on them, and you guys know me, man, I talk a lot about failure, overcoming failure, embracing failure, and learning from it. So talk about failure, talk about that word with them and say, hey, we failed at this, but we succeeded in this. And help them, seek out those failures too. And I'm not talking about showing up late. I'm not talking about, failing at being a good teammate. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about the tangible plays. I'm talking about those, those little yips, those little errors that we make. It's not the end of the world. It's not the, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Believe it or not, college coaches want to see them go through some of these mistakes. They want to see them work through some adversity. They know they can play the game. When you're looking at like 16s and 18s, if they can't overcome a mistake here or there, that coach doesn't want them. A strikeout, how do they respond? An error in the field, how do they respond? A bad throw, how do they respond? So if we're not teaching them at 12 and 10 how to overcome that and flush it, man, they could have been chasing this whole college dream all their life, but their mentality that's sort of been nurtured by you to feel a certain way, to act a certain way, to think a certain way. Oh man, we're setting them up for failure and we don't even realize it. So let's hit those failures, but turn it into supportive. Let's be supportive with those failures. Now, if it's the same thing over and over, hey, maybe we need to adjust how we're supporting. And when we win, when there is some achievement for whatever it is, let's acknowledge it, no matter how small they may seem to you. It could be big to her. Let's recognize that progress and effort that's been put forward. And one thing that doesn't get promoted enough is sportsmanship. Let's talk about that. Let's celebrate sportsmanship, helping somebody get their bag together, high-fiving somebody just hit a home run against you. A little tip of the helmet when somebody makes a diving play on you. Just reinforce that positive behavior. It can come from all angles. That positive behavior becomes a staple, becomes a cornerstone in their personality, right? And it's going to boost their confidence. And it's like, you know what? I want to win. but I also know that there's a chance that I'm going to lose. If I lose, I'm not going to be a poor sport about it. I'm not going to pout. I'm not going to be a bad loser. I'm not, hey, I'm going to celebrate you guys too. Hey, good job. Y'all beat us today. We made a couple of errors. We couldn't, whatever. And you guys, y'all are the better team today. And then you help them move on from it. But it comes from you as a parent talking that way to them. If they lose and they're in trouble, if they win, they get rewarded, man, your kid's going to be afraid to fail. They don't want to be in trouble. They don't want to get punished for losing. They don't want to get punished for making a mistake. So imagine, and I guarantee you there's some of you that are listening to this right now that you're changing your mindset just because of this. I guarantee it. I'm telling you right now, I used to be the same way. I used to sit on a bucket when my oldest daughter would pitch, and if she threw one bad pitch, I would get mad. But then over the years, I learned, it's like, man, I'm killing my relationship with my kid. I'm killing her confidence in the game. That game that she loves is now she's starting to hate because her daddy makes her feel a certain way. I'm telling you, man, that it's going to be all right, daddies, mamas. It's going to be all right. It ain't the end of the world. And I talked to a podcast episode about a year ago, I guess. It's like, put yourself in those shoes. Say you're a mechanic or something. And every little thing you do is criticized. God almighty, you're going to be afraid to do anything because no matter what you do, you're criticized for it. So if you're on stage for a performance and you get done with that performance, tonight, here's an example. Tonight, I'm going to a Christmas special. One of my players at her high school, their performing arts team is or performing arts group or whatever. I guess their team. I don't know. Performing arts. They're putting on a play or a Christmas special, some performance, right? And there's going to be mistakes, but I guarantee you there's going to be a lot less criticism from the parent in the crowd when they get home in the car. Hey, you missed this step. You misspoke this word. You didn't get here. You didn't get there, right? So why do we do it differently? Why can't we have that same mentality on the ball field? Why does it matter so much? Is it because come Monday morning around the water cooler, you want to be able to tell your buddies that little Susie did this or that? I mean, we can go down a rabbit hole on this. But if they're playing the piano and they miss a note, when they get in the car, do you shit on them for missing that note? No, you don't. Man, you talk about the whole performance. What a great performance. Those songs were great. I love those songs. I saw you smiling while you were out there. What were you guys laughing at? You're going to have those conversations. It's not going to be that car ride home where, hey, what happened in the second inning there? You missed that ball and went right between your legs and they scored 3 runs. You're not going to have that mentality in a performance. Hey, you missed that note and everybody was all off step. No, everybody just they look at each other, they acknowledge it, and then they move on. They overcome that missed note or that misspoken word, or the curtains moved too fast, or they didn't pull the curtains in time. Like, they just overcome it and move on. It's not the end of the world at some 4-team tournament in some local town on a ratty ball field with some ratty coaches and without concession stands and all this crap, right? So why do we put so much emphasis on youth sports? It's nuts, right? Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into active listening. Allow that player that you have to express their feelings and the thoughts on the game without you criticizing that thought. Listen to them without judgment. Offer some support. Try to understand what it is they're saying, what they're going through. They're feeling a certain way. That's your kid, right? We don't want them to feel bad. We don't want them to have this negative approach to things. So actively listen and figure out where that pain is, where their discouragement is coming from. They're being discouraged somewhere, and it could be you, right? So let's look in the mirror and say, what can I do to help them overcome this? And then it's at the end of the day, let's create and maintain a positive and encouraging atmosphere or environment, if you will. Right? No matter what, this is a fail-safe area. Okay? I want you to push yourself enough. I want you to put yourself out there enough to where you are going to fail because you're learning. And it gives us these moments that we can learn from. Hey, I may not have got it right this time, but it's not the end of the world. I'm going to continue to work in this because eventually I'm going to get it. Okay? So create that positive atmosphere. And coaches, man, they catch it. I'm telling you right now, they get criticized like crazy. So let's avoid, criticizing the coaches and the referees and the teammates and stuff like that, in especially in front of our players. Because if they have that feel, if they're mad in that moment, and then they also want to criticize or whatever, man, it's going to become who they are. It's going to influence their perception of people. And that happens around the dinner table. Man, if you're talking about playing time as a parent, you're better than so-and-so. Why is she playing over you and this and that? That kid of yours is going to start believing that, not understanding what maybe the philosophy is or the strategy is or the grand scheme of things. All you care about is your kid playing no matter what, and talking about everybody else's failures and errors and strikeouts and this and that. Like, it's a bad situation. So take all of this and sort of create a positive atmosphere to where we're all in this thing together. At the end of the day, a parent's role in shaping our kids, it doesn't matter what the sport, but as your softball player, if we're trying to shape their confidence, we play a pivotal role in that. They're going to listen to us, right? But by providing support and encouragement, constructive feedback, while we're not putting on, too much pressure and too much negativity, parents, we can positively impact a player's mindset, or we can negatively impact a player's mindset. We want to build, resilient and confident players out there. We want them to have a love for the game. If we emphasize the growth even through failure, we're supporting their journey, and not just in softball, but off the field as well, in the classroom, eventually at a job, wherever they're at. These girls are eventually going to grow up. Some of them are going to be coaches. Some are going to be teachers. Some are going to be in these roles where they're going to be able to pull back from their experiences. They're going to be able to pull from their experiences in life. So if you have these role models, if they have these role models and they have these people, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be Stone Cold Steve Austin. It could be Mother Teresa. It could be whoever. Everybody that is successful in this world has gone through something, has gone through some negativity, has worked through mistakes and failures and stuff. So allow your kid to do that and try to keep it as positive as you can, right? That's what matters. It's positivity at the end of the day. So if you get in that car after a practice or a tournament and you just hammer her on a couple of mistakes that she made, and those couple of mistakes that she made outweighs that diving catch, that being the first in sprints, having a great throwing day on the mound or pitching day on the mound. If the mistakes outweigh all the positivity that you saw, I can't help you. You got to do some soul searching. You got to figure out, why the heck are we even doing this? If it's all negative, why are we doing this? Because she's not having fun. You're probably making her go to practice. And I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to ask you this one question before we jump out of here. When you guys talk about practice, does she say, I have to go to practice? Or does she say, I get to go to practice? You don't have to ask her. But think about that. When you're talking about practice, what does she say? Does she say, I have to go to practice? Or does she say, I get to go to practice? All right? Think about that. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning into this one. A little bit different episode. I was coming at you with some heavy stuff. I usually try to keep it light and fluffy, but nonetheless, if you got somebody out there that hasn't found the podcast yet, or if you like this type of stuff and you know someone out there that may use it or may benefit from them, please, man, share it out there to them. I appreciate the ones that are subscribed and leaving comments, stuff like that. I think it's awesome. I love hearing the feedback. And, you're not going to hurt my feelings if I've misspoke or if I say something that's completely opposite of your opinion. Let's have that conversation. I love it. I love having that conversation. I love talking about it. I love learning. So again, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I just talk to people and let you know how it hits me. So hopefully you guys are doing the same thing. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, it's over there at Black Diamond Softball and Fitness is one channel, and Foul Pole to Foul Pole is the other channel. We have two channels running over there. On the Facebook side, you can find us at Black Diamond Softball and Fitness. We do have our TikTok is up and running now. Just something fun, something silly, just doing something, just spreading the word. On the audio side, of course, you're picking this thing up on Spotify or wherever. I appreciate that. Leave a review. Let me know how I'm doing over there. Let me know how it impacted you. So anyway, if you guys don't mind, please share this with a friend. And when you do, you tell them you love them.